Hey everyone, it's Matt from True North back with another Walk and Talk devotional. And tonight's topic is something that I've struggled with in the past, and I know some of you are probably struggling with, but it's why isolation is dangerous spiritually. Because have you ever noticed that when life gets overwhelming, our first instinct is to pull away from everybody? You know, we stop responding to text, we skip church, and we retreat to our own little worlds. And it feels like self-care at the time, but it's one of the most dangerous places that we can be. There's a massive difference between holy solitude to recharge and toxic isolation that cuts us off from life. When we isolate, we're silencing the very voices that we need to hear. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 warns us, for if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion, but woe to the one who falls when there is not another to lift him up. You know, in isolation, we don't have anyone to help us up. We only have our thoughts, our fears, our own exhaustion. And without a community to speak truth into our life, our perspectives become distorted. We start believing the lie that we're entirely alone, that nobody cares, and that our situations will never change. Isolation removes our spiritual protection. In 1 Peter 5:8, the Bible warns us to be alert because the enemy prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Lions don't attack the middle of the herd. You know, they wait for the weak, the tired, and the distracted animal to wander off by itself. And when we separate ourselves from the body of believers, you know, we're walking away from the safety of the herd. We become an easy target for doubt, shame, and despair. You know, we talked yesterday about the importance of who's in our boat. And let's think back to that story in Mark chapter 4 of the disciples and Jesus in the boat. You know, the waves were crashing, the boat was filling with water, and the disciples were terrified. But they were in the boat together, and Jesus was right there with them. You know, but if any single disciple had been out on the water that night on a single piece of wood, they probably wouldn't have survived. And that's what we need, is we need people in our boat who can handle and hold the oars when we're too weak to row, and to remind us that God is still in control, even in the storms as well as the calm. You know, God didn't design us to carry our burdens by ourselves. Galatians 6:2 explicitly tells us, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. We can't fulfill the law if we are hiding behind closed doors. If you have been retreating into isolation, I want to encourage you today to break that silence today. Reach out to one safe person, let them back into your boat, and stop trying to survive the storm alone. Guys, I love you. I'm praying for you. We thank you for all the support. You'll have a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.